you guys. So today's video is going to be the first part of my huge, disgusting, deplorable, ridiculous, embarrassing, and yet lovely and delicious makeup haul. I don't want to get into this at the top of every video, which means I probably will, but for frame of reference, this is far from a normal type of makeup haul. Let me just put this in context for you guys. The reason that it is the way that it is because I took like 2 years off of making makeup content, and I used to be a professional makeup artist. The majority of my career on social media has been beauty focused, but I took about 2 years off from any of it. If you guys want some more details on that, there's a link below about where I've been, ever since I had my son, what I've been going through, what's happening. Check it out. TLDR is I've not bought any new makeup. And when I say new, I mean new releases. I have replenished things that I use regularly, but nothing new, nothing that's come out, and definitely in the past year, nothing exciting. I didn't really have an interest in it, and I wanted to get back into making beauty and makeup content, and I didn't want to not only be limited in the looks and techniques I could share with you guys because of my tiny little stash, which at one point, y'all, was massive. I have been getting rid of makeup and rehoming it and throwing it out for like 4 years. my once humongous stash, I was determined to get down to something smaller and smaller and smaller. Lo and behold, it got down to basically nothing, which wasn't an issue, like I said, for a long time, because didn't have any interest in creating makeup content or really even wearing it, quite frankly. But when I decided to get back into it, realized that either everything I had was either discontinued or expired, so then I had to get rid of a lot more stuff. And here we are. All of this is high end, but I will do a drugstore version of this as well at some point, because drugstore makeup, y'all, it has just gotten, let me just say this, I feel like makeup in general has improved. That's part of why I stopped making makeup content, because I was bored with it. I felt like the releases were redundant. The collections were just far too many. It just felt like you could not keep up with it. There was no imagination in it. There was no teaching anymore. It was just constant makeup release, makeup release. It was impossible to keep up. I just got sick of it. Now, from what I can tell, and I could be wrong, but from what I can tell, we've reached a new day where it seems like tutorials are back. And as much as I'm not a fan of TikTok, I think we gotta thank TikTok for that. Short form content has increased this kind of tips and tricks and technique focused content, which is my preferred makeup content for the most part. More makeup artists are creating products as well. I just think the products that are coming out, A, like I said, makeup artists are making them, so they're already way better. And B, if they're not makeup artist focused, they're focusing on staples. It's not huge collections with themes of like Burger King or whatever. We saw the most ridiculous themes for collections, limited edition collections a few years ago. I think it's all toned down. I could be wrong, or I've just like got blinders on and I'm not seeing it. I'm not paying attention to it. I don't know. Once this order started coming in, I started trying everything out. I just kept going up to my husband and my daughter and I was like, makeup has gotten so much better. Today, it is eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to walk you guys through what I picked, why I picked it, what my initial thoughts are, who I recommend it for, which ones you can pass, which ones you don't need, yada, yada, yada. It's a mixed bag. A lot of neutral palettes. There's a few colorful ones. Most of them are from Tasha Denona, Makeup by Mario, Danessa Myricks. Like, those were the brands that were really calling to me. You will notice that as we go on with this series, a lot of the same brands over and over again. Let's start with Makeup by Mario, because his line in general, I've tried a lot. I actually ordered straight from the Makeup by Mario store as opposed to Sephora because a lot of stuff was sold out. It's a brand that I knew when I first saw it coming out, when Mario announced it, that I was gonna love it. I didn't buy any of it, but I knew when I did try it, I would love it. And again, if you guys don't know this, I used to be a professional makeup artist. So I always liked brands that are makeup artist focused because they tend to be very intentional. Typically, the person who's going to make a product as a makeup artist is going to think about this from the perspective of what you can get the most use out of, what's going to flatter most people, what's going to be easiest to use, because makeup artists are on a time crunch. They can't carry every single solitary product in existence known to man with them everywhere they go. They want things that do the work for them. So I knew. And plus, who is the bigger friggin' celebrity makeup artist in the world besides Mario Dedivanovic? Like, he's the friggin' Michael Jordan of makeup. This is the Makeup by Mario Matte Master Mattes. I picked up Like I said, a few neutral palettes. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I have actually considered returning, not for any reason relevant to the performance of it. I'm actually wearing it on my eyes today. Again, I look completely washed out. In person, I look like I have so much makeup on, but in here, once I sat down, I was like, I have got to remember to start doing my makeup for studio, in the studio. I'm wearing this today. What I like about this is that the colors here almost, if you didn't know any better, could just simply be like a really big highlight and contour palette. In fact, I heard somewhere that all of these are meant to be different skin tones. So that gives you a lot to work with as far as creating really natural, neutral, just flattering eye looks, because the colors you work with are very skin-like. Prior to this, I haven't really used powder eyeshadow at all. I've been using eyeshadow sticks for the longest time. And then I've also been using my Charlotte Tilbury and my Tom Ford eye quads. And they're really nice. Obviously, they're incredibly formulated eyeshadows, but I just haven't messed with anything else in so long. Trying these was a treat because I love how well they work. They blend out so incredible. I feel like this is the type of palette for someone who wants to like be able to create a few good, neutral, natural, everyday looks, but isn't trying to do, for example, what I'm doing here. They're not trying to spend a grip on their makeup collection. You could get something like this, as well as maybe a few cream shadows for the lid for like a pop of glitter, and be good to go. This is such a good, basic, just everyday palette. And again, this looks like something a makeup artist would create. Love it. Guys, isn't this too white? Like, should I change this? I love a blush pink. I thought about getting like a nice satin blush pink, or I really want like a taupe, like a warm taupe. That would be my dream, but I can't find it anywhere. So if this is too much, let me know. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I look like a hologram. Like if I came to you in a vision quest, this is what it would look like. The next one for Makeup by Mario is the Ethereal Eyes. This is actually why I ended up ordering straight from his site as opposed to Sephora, because they were not carrying it anymore and just his site was. This is limited edition. Again, I know I started this video being like, they don't do all kinds of limited edition anymore. I guess this is limited edition. I think that's a mistake. Mario, if you're watching and you care what I think, make this permanent. This is gorgeous. This palette, I still have all the films on mine. My daughter likes to peel these off, so I always save them for her. This is beautiful. This is neutral, lots of soft brown neutral tones. Like this eyeshadow is so good here, this kind of rosy mid-tone brown, that I'm annoyed to know that I'm gonna get hooked on it and then this is gonna be discontinued. So I'm annoyed by that. This palette, gorgeous. Much like the other Makeup by Mario palette, this is for someone who doesn't need 25 eyeshadow palettes, has no interest in that. This has got a little bit of everything. There's a bunch of neutrals. These shimmers are impeccable. They're so glittery but expensive looking. It's not like, I always compare Too Faced. I don't know why, that's like a cheap shot I always take. Their makeup is very childlike to me, or like Kylie Jenner's makeup iteration circa 2019, 2020. Not this. This is grown up, sophisticated, beautiful, little bit of everything in it. Mostly I'm excited to be doing this video, by the way, so I can take everything out of these stupid boxes. But again, I think it's limited edition. If it is still available, I'll link it below. Next, I want to talk to you guys about the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. And I'm quickly going to compare this to the Ethereal Eyes from Makeup by Mario, because apparently, and I didn't know this at the time, I didn't know until they both got here how similar they are, but looking at them and also seeing a few other content creators talk about this online, these are incredibly similar palettes. So I think if you get one, you don't need the other, but I'm keeping both, okay? Don't judge me. So similar to the Makeup by Mario palette, the first thing I noticed is kind of this rosy brown shade that I was just talking about. You kind of get one of those in each of the palettes. They also have these gorgeous shimmers and glitters. The browns, although there is like at least one or two deeper browns for contrast, most of them are lighter washes of color. This palette to me is a bridal makeup palette if I've ever seen one. Quite frankly, both of them are, so you don't need both, but again, I am who I am. I can't help it. This is not my first experience with Natasha Denona. The first eyeshadow palette of hers I ever bought was way back in 2016. I bought the Star palette, and I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I was not impressed. That could be because it was the era of pigment, and I just expected that from that eyeshadow palette for as expensive as it was. I bought it largely for the plummy red colors, which did not give it to me the way I thought they should. I don't know what I was talking about because these eyeshadows are so nice. I have played with this palette as well. Her shimmer formula, it just doesn't really make any sense. I don't know how she does this, but she has the most superior eyeshadow formula you will ever use. Tom Ford and Charlotte Tilbury are also really good in my opinion. They have that type of quality where even the mattes just blend themselves. They are expensive. These palettes are pretty expensive. $70 for an eyeshadow palette is probably nutty butters to most people, but I feel like if you are someone who truly geeks out on makeup formulas, this type of a palette would be for you. Beginners, people who don't really, I don't know, get off on this kind of thing, I could see how this might not be the place to go. But at the same time, if you are a beginner and you want to make your makeup and eyeshadow application in particular a lot easier, eyeshadows like this that essentially blend themselves are a really good way to go. So this is another one of the neutral palettes I picked up. These are essentially the same thing, but I'm not mad. Okay, these are super random and I have a story behind them, believe it or not. I let my beautiful daughter borrow being the operative word here, some of my eyeshadows back in, it's been a minute, it was probably like 2022. She was going through a Gerard Way red eyeshadow phase, so I let her borrow all my Viseart and Makeup Geek single eyeshadows. There's a lot. I gave her like a full Z palette of it and she threw them away. I had no more pink or red or purple eyeshadows anymore. I have blue, I have green if I need it, but I didn't have pink, purple, things of that nature, and I could not think of where to go for said eyeshadow colors because I do work with them. And also, fun fact, I'm gonna start putting makeup looks on my daughter. I kind of dry ran it on Instagram a while ago, but she's younger, she's 18, so all these like crazy fun exciting looks that I once loved that don't really suit me anymore will look great on her. I wanted to have stuff around for when the time came. Anyway, I have the Norvina palettes. I got the Norvina 4 and 5, I believe. These came out a while ago, and even when they first came out, I was impressed with them. I did like the idea. I liked the concept, but I had no need for them at the time, so I didn't grab them, but you know, things changed. I love this clamshell packaging. It's really, really sturdy. This is just, my daughter's also in this like coquette. You guys know any Gen Zs who are obsessed with bows in the coquette aesthetic? It's just, they put bows on everything, girl. It's crazy. Anyway, that's what this reminds me of, the pink one in particular. This has just a nice little mix of, there's some hot pinks, muted pinks, baby pinks. There's a few neutrals, some shimmers, some glitters, like a kind of duo chrome purple shade. This is going to be good for that. These are crazy pigmented. These are actually pro pigments, and typically, I am so sorry, it's keep scratching my nose, you guys. I don't know what's going on. Typically, anytime a palette markets itself as a pro pigment, in the past at least, I've not tried this, so I cannot say, they tend to be harder to work with. And then they'll come out and say, well, it's because they're pro pigments, you guys. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited. I had like a Barbie core look in mind that I want to do with this on her. So again, come follow me on Instagram if you want to see that kind of stuff. I might try to do it over here on YouTube, but I feel like it would just be better on like a reel or TikTok or whatever. I want to go hang out with the youth on TikTok. This is the Norvina 5, 4, I don't know which one's which, but this is just a purple one. Again, I don't have any more purple eyeshadows, and these are, again, not colors I gravitate towards all the time, but makeup is like art supplies to me. I might need a purple paint one day. If I were a painter, I might need one day, and that applies to purple eyeshadow as well. So that's kind of the vibe here. I look at these colors and I immediately start thinking about spring, because I don't know about you guys, but in Tennessee, we have had the craziest winter already. We had like this bananas snowstorm. We were snowed in for like a week. And this week it's been nothing but rain and clouds and gray, and I'm already looking forward to spring. Those were just, I needed some colorful shadows. Like I said, my sweet angel baby daughter threw them away. That's more for someone, in my opinion, the Norvina palettes are better for people who are makeup junkies. This is the Danessa Myricks, excuse me, how very dare I. The Danessa Myricks Lightwork palette. I guess this is something she comes out with every year. It seems like it's part of her holiday collection. I can't. These eyeshadows are, first of all, let me say this. Danessa Myricks is an amazing pro artist. And even though a lot of her products, I can tell she's trying to kind of bridge that gap between the pro and just the regular consumer, she still has a lot of products that very clearly are designed by a pro for the pro. And fun fact, here's a hack for you. If you want to get into makeup, okay, you want to be able to create a lot of looks, start buying pro makeup. Go to camerareadycosmetics.com, buy cream pigment palettes and learn how to mix things. Learn how to mix concealers, mix contours, mix blushes, mix eyeshadow bases. Like, that is what pros do. You would have to spend more time learning and less time just being able to kind of sit down and throw something together. But in life, you always either have more time or more money. And if you have more time and less money and want to get better at makeup, go get pro products. It'll take a little bit to learn how to use them, but they're super versatile. Anyway, all that being said, she has a lot of products like that. This is not one of them. I actually have another palette by her as well. We'll talk about in a second. This is just, first of all, I love this packaging, this like metal, looks like a handbag almost, you know what I mean? You could just picture like a chain on it, like on your shoulder. Anyway, this thing is freaking gorgeous. Hold on, let me not blind you guys. I cannot believe, like, I don't know what she did, who she bargained with, who's walking around with her soul in their back pocket. Like, this formula does not make any sense. It is one of the most foiled, high pigmented, blendable, buttery, smooth. It makes no sense. Like I said before, there was an era in the makeup world where it was like pigment was like all that mattered. And you lose things in that pursuit. More pigment does not necessarily mean a better eyeshadow formula. And yet somehow Danessa Myricks has made that her reality. These are incredibly pigmented, incredibly foiled, incredibly sparkly, just insanely cool eyeshadows. I can't wait to use them. Some of these are duochrome, some of these are shifters, which means like when you turn your head one way, they look one color, and when you turn your head this way, they look another. Some of them are a little more straightforward. All of them are incredible. I know, like I said, that this is, I think, her 4th Lightwork palette. She does them every year. So if it's still available, you guys should grab it. This is better for people, again, more like the Norvinas. If you're someone who would like a Norvina palette, you are someone who would like something like this. Again, the regular degular, I'm a neutral girly. You don't need this, but this is more for like my pro makeup nerd side. Next, the Danessa, why can't I say that? I keep trying to say Danessa Danessa Myricks Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette. I had no intention to get this. This was actually not on my radar because I hadn't heard anything about it until I think I'd already made my big disgusting makeup haul order and I was done. That's all she wrote. And then I found this on Instagram, I think, and I just had to try it because I do not need another neutrals palette, but there is something kind of special about this one that I'm excited about. First of all, the packaging. I know packaging is not the most important aspect of it. In fact, I would not necessarily encourage most people to fixate on it too much, but some of us, if you're me, the whole experience of makeup, the process of putting it on, swatching it, the packaging, the marketing, the branding story, the brand itself. Like I wish I could remember her name. I was watching YouTube. This girl I had never seen before was talking about makeup, and she said that it reminds her of how she felt when she used to get Barbies. And I was like, that's it. That's what it feels like. It's like getting a new Barbie. Again, wouldn't deter you from buying makeup just because the packaging isn't pretty, nor would I encourage you to buy it just because the packaging is pretty. But when you can get all of it in one package, no pun intended, that's where it's at. Anyway, similar to the Lightwork palette, this really cool metal nameplate, I don't know, is a neutral palette, as you can tell. What these bigger pans are actually called velvet pomades. They're not powder. I thought they were going to be cream, like straight up cream eyeshadows. That's what I was anticipating. And I was almost hesitant to consider this due to that because I hate it when companies bring out eyeshadow palettes or cheek palettes with cream and do not put a component to protect the cream from the powder. Once your powder products get into your cream products, it changes the cream forever. It's never the same after that. But once I touched these, I kind of figured out why it probably wasn't going to be such a big deal, because they are pomades. Like, they have more than a regular powder finish to them, but they're not wet. They're not gooey. They're not goopy. They're not creamy. They just feel, quite frankly, exactly like what they're described as, a velvet. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, they're so soft and blendable, and this can be used all over your face also. So as someone who wants to play with makeup more and just enjoy that aspect of it, this is definitely what I mean when I talk about pro products. Things that can be used for multiple things. You can use this for your brows, contour on your eyes, cheeks if you want to. I have used this for my brows so far. I haven't gotten too much more out of it, but it's such an interesting concept and I'm excited to see what I can do with this. Something about this palette screams 90s supermodel makeup, and I don't know why. That's the first thing I think of when I look at it, is like, I want to create a 90s supermodel makeup look with this palette. If you guys have picked this up, tell me how you like to use it, tips, tricks, fun facts, like all that stuff. I want to know. These are both Natasha Denona. I told y'all, it's a lot of Natasha, Mario. Actually, you'll find out a lot of House Labs as well. Anyway, this is the Biba palette from Natasha Denona. I actually made a reel on my Instagram with this, which I probably will try to put over here on shorts. Again, not my first experience with Natasha Denona, but I don't know. I feel like I was tripping so hard because of the Star palette. Either something changed or there was a very different point behind the Star palette compared to these, because I find them so much better. I like the packaging better, the formula better. This is just another neutral palette. Do I need it? No. Nope, don't need it. I get so much use out of neutrals, you guys. Like, I'm a neutral girly at my core when it comes to my preferred makeup. Every once in a while, I like to play with color and glitter. And like I said, more than likely, we'll do most of that on my daughter from now on. I just had been wanting this. This has been in my add to cart for years. Seemed like a staple for a reason, understandably so. Now, my only complaint with this and my biggest caution to others would be, if you're a cool toned girl and you do not like bronzy, warm shades, you will not like this. There are literally 2 grays in here. Other than that, this is warm, 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 warm. So super fair skin, cool undertone. I'm talking to my winters and my springs. If you don't like this kind of vibe, if it's not something you're gravitating towards, you're not gonna get a whole lot of use out of this. But I like a little mix, warm and cool. And lastly, this probably would be better for the cool tone girlies. This is the Glam palette. I did not think I was gonna like this as much as I do, but I've worn it. Out of all the palettes I've played with this one the most. I don't know why. Something about this color story, I think it's the taupes. I am going through a taupe moment. I like taupe in graphic design. I like it in makeup. I like it in packaging. Like, I'm just feeling the taupe vibes. And this has some taupes in it, some cooler tones. We've got nice transition shades, a touch of warmth with this little bit of gold right here, but overall, this is a cool tone girly palette. If you are gonna gravitate more towards this, I don't think you need this, and vice versa. All these neutral palettes, I just don't think you can go wrong with. I think it's gonna be more on your preference and what type of makeup styles you go for. But if I had to say, like, for the average consumer, that I need a nude palette or the ethereal palette by Makeup by Mario might be the one that I think is the most beautiful and most special, and I personally would get the most use out of. So that is my disgusting eyeshadow palette haul, and I'm sticking to it. We'll link everything down below, and I do intend to do maybe like some one palette, how many looks. The beautiful Mel Thompson, rest in peace, used to do those types of videos a lot, and I always enjoyed them. So if you guys want to see me create multiple looks out of one palette, if you want to see dedicated reviews, whatever, let me know. And the colorful stuff, like I said, colorful, like fun makeup screams chit chat, get ready with me. It makes me want to sit down and play with makeup and just talk to you guys. So all of those things I'm open for. Thumbs up the video if you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any of these palettes down below, what your favorite is. I am going to turn this camera off and film more makeup haul stuff. So if you like these types of videos, there's more coming. Make sure you subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one. There goes my dog. Sorry if you hear a bunch of chaos. I gotta go. Bye.